Hi fans, it's Maddie Levine back here for the 1-2 punch. Today we have a very special guest, and to be fair, when I first started doing Muay Thai kickboxing myself, this was one of those fighters that I immediately had to understand and get to know, and I gave her a follow right away because she's basically Muay Thai royalty, and she is officially debuted and in the One Championship, and I'm so excited to hear about her phenomenal debut. It's Iman Barlow. How you doing, Iman?
Hi, yeah, good, thank you. You?
Thank you so much for joining. I am trying so hard not to fangirl right now, so thank you so much for being here.
No worries.
So are you still on cloud nine or what from last weekend?
I am. I've still not managed to sleep properly yet either. With the time difference and stuff, I keep waking up really early, and obviously usually I go for a run. I'm like, no, I've got a week off. This is the only time I can get sleep, and I can't. I'm just so buzzing from it all. Yeah.
How bad was the time difference?
I think they're 8 hours ahead.
Ugh.
Yeah. So obviously I came back, seeing my mum, seeing my brother. It's just good to see everyone. I've been meeting with friends this week and my boyfriend, and it's just good to be back. And also I've been at work this week as well, and my students loved it. They watched live as well, and so it's just really nice.
Yeah, I was watching at work myself, and I was trying so hard to be quiet, but after that, we only got one round of you, barely, but it was fantastic. But before we dive in to that wonderful performance at One, you have plenty of other opportunities to talk about your very impressive career. So for those of the fans that might not know about your beginnings, you began at a very young age. Started training at 2, competing at 4 years old?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about growing up in the Muay Thai world.
Yeah, it's crazy. So my dad is my trainer. My mum used to fight. She was kind of my inspiration growing up. And also I have a younger brother. He's 4 years younger, and he fights as well. So we're known as like the fighting family. I started going along to the gym instead of getting a babysitter. Like I always say, my mum and dad just used to stick me in the corner, and I just started copying copying what the adults were doing, wanted to join in. I had my first competition when I was 4, kind of amateur with all the shin pads and protection, and I just carried on fighting and never looked back. I started going abroad with it, fighting in Thailand, and in the summer holidays at school, we used to go to Thailand for 6 to 7 weeks, and people I didn't realize that wasn't really normal. People just used to go to the local beach or Spain for a week or so. So I was kind of blessed to go to Thailand and spend all that time out there. And I think I did it at the right time as well, and the right age, and I loved it. Kept me out of trouble. And then, I had my first professional, it's hard to say when I had my first professional fight, because obviously I fought in Thailand at a young age, and you take the shin pads off and it's full Muay Thai rules. But I was fighting women from the age of 12 years old, and I think it just made me who I am today, and all the fights that I've had and all the experiences has made everything easier. When you get to that bigger stage or your main event, or you're fighting away from home, it's just second nature to me now. And I'm very grateful. I've done a lot of things, had a lot of fights, been through a lot of fight camps, and to debut on something like One Championships last weekend was amazing. It's kind of the pinnacle.
Tell me a little bit more about this mother-daughter dynamic, because talk about a power mother-daughter duo. I think you had one of your first fights on the same card as her. So tell me how it was to watch your mom in such a savage way.
Yeah, I think when I think of Thai boxing, I don't really think of it as savage or violent. And you just you spend so much more time training than ever fighting. It is, like they say, a discipline and an art. And my mum trained hard. I trained alongside her, and to me that was just normal. I don't think I necessarily knew, I just copied her. I didn't necessarily kind of know what I was getting myself into. We used to go running together, you know, run from the gym back to our house. And that was just kind of all normal to me. I remember once seeing my mum fight on like a show, like a home show, and like there was like a screen and you just seen like the shadow or silhouette of her. And I just thought, oh my God, that's so cool. And all the smoke, like a smoke machine blew up, and you could just see the outline of her, and she was like this, and the crowd were cheering. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, she is so cool. I want to be like that.
Do you ever see yourself as, I mean, I don't mean to rush you at all, but do you ever see yourself as a mom? And do you hope to kind of like, you know, extend this legacy that you guys have?
Oh yeah, I'd love to be a mum. I always say that. All my friends have got kids and moved out, and I always say like I'd love to do that. I'd love to be like that and be a mum. And I think it'd be something kind of great to get your child into. Yeah. And everyone says, don't they? Oh, I wouldn't force them into it, but I think it's very good, no matter what kind of sport, for a child to be involved in a sport. I think it's very important, and it shaped my life. It shaped who I am. My life kind of revolves around Thai boxing. Everything I do, you know, even my diet, my schedule, my job, you know, and that's just kind of the way it's been. And, you know, it's not bad. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. You know, sometimes it's difficult, of course it is, and all the sacrifices that you have to make, but look at me now. Right?
I mean, you have all these titles and awards to back it up. It's like, okay, all right, I'll take this. This is pretty nice.
Not bad.
It's not bad. I'm sure you need a few more shelves for all these trophies you're going to be getting soon. But is there any fights that stick out for you that maybe personally solidified all of this hard work for you, where you were like, okay, I'm in this?
Oh, I don't know. That's such a hard question. There's like been so many opportunities. You know, I think fighting around the world is crazy, and going to places and being away from home, and having fans there. Like Australia, I've fought there 3 times, and every time, like, I think it can't get better, and it does. Everyone's so welcoming there. They let me train at their gym, and it's just great. They want to take me out after. I've fought in America. Like, it's places that some of my friends have never been. Do you know what I mean? And the thing about Muay Thai is that you meet friends for life. So I've got friends all around the world from this sport, and it's amazing and given me many opportunities.
Any favorite cities or towns or states that you are like, yes, this is my place?
Definitely. I loved Perth. I've been and fought in Perth twice. Loved it. Honestly loved it. It was so good. And also Vegas. I think I liked Vegas because, you know, it's like what you see on the telly.
Right.
And I like to, when we watch films or a documentary, I'm like, oh, I've been there. And it was kind of nice because you're there for business, you're there for your fight, but you've also got to train throughout the week. So having that kind of, when you've got your downtime, to do a little touristy thing, and you know, I stayed on the strip as well, so we could just walk out the hotel and you straight on the strip. Like, it's good. When we go away to these places, like, it's always the fight comes first. So there's like no sunbathing, there's, you know, no day out to whatever. We do keep it real strict. And, you know, sometimes it's a shame because we go to places and it's like, oh, you've been there. It's like, yeah, I didn't really see much. Like, it wasn't a holiday.
Right. It's like, yeah, the hotel was nice.
Yeah, we do get to see little bits, and it's crazy. I've got like a board with a world map, and I pin everywhere I've been. So I pin everywhere I fight, and then I've got like a different coloured pin for my seminars. So yeah, I've not put Singapore in yet. Are you? Oh my God, I've been here like 4 days and not done it.
Get on that. You got to make that like a special color, like, boom, that was my debut.
Yeah, it needs to be.
So I'm sure it's tricky. Obviously, you said you're not on holiday, you're working, and obviously the diet has to be on point. But do you get moments where you get to like enjoy the food of wherever you're at? And if so, like, are there any foods where you're like wishing you could have more of?
It's difficult because I feel like in a fight camp, you know, you're eating very healthy and you're not craving all these foods, but you just wish that you could have them because they look so nice because you can't eat them.
Yes.
That when it comes to eating what you can, like whatever, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do now.
Right.
And the foods that you eat and don't taste as good as you imagined they did. Like, it's horrible, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you can eat now. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, no.
And you're disappointed. And it's like,
yeah.
oh.
Honestly, I feel like the more fight camps I have and like the more like strange things happen, and it's not as exciting to go out for food all the time, and it's just like you get a bit of a dump after as well, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, something that's always exciting is winning. So that's always nice. And you did that over the weekend. So let's jump right into your one debut. You fought Daniela Lopez. Beautiful elbow, sealing the deal for you in round 1. And I love when fighters are able to show the fans and whoever workout footage and training footage that looks exactly like the fight. And you were able to do that where I think you posted it on Instagram or somewhere. Yeah. How does it feel to know that you had a game plan and then you were able to execute that game plan? Like, tell me about that satisfaction.
Our game plan was pretty vague, but it was definitely to get a stoppage
right.
and to kind of showcase my skills. I don't feel like the showcase my skills bit happened, but I'm not going to complain. That elbow, like, it's just like so odd how things happen because a lot of my fights in the past have been kickboxing, and I came away from Muay Thai a little bit because they were more of the fights that were being offered. So when I started back with Thai boxing, I'd never left it, but you know, there was things like we didn't train elbows as much because it wasn't a thing. So actually, to a certain point of my career, I wasn't throwing loads of elbows, and I remember landing it in my fight in October, and I landed like this perfect elbow, like so similar. And my opponent, like, she didn't blink. And I thought, that really hurt my elbow. And I couldn't have hit that any better on her head. And it just, like, she didn't blink. I was like, oh, my word. Then I remember doing it in the IFMAs in Thailand, and I landed it a few times. But then, obviously, you've got your elbow pads on. And if you actually watch the video back, you can hear my dad shout. And just before that moment, he says, look out for the downward elbow again, Iman. And a second later, boom, and it happened. Yeah, it's just so mad. And that's always been one thing, to be fair, that always happens. My dad says something from back in the corner, and I just listen, and then I do it. Not always. Sometimes I miss my opportunity or miss the moment. But a lot of the time, you will hear him in the background, and the technique comes next. So yeah, he called it and I executed it.
He called it and it awarded you $50,000. You got that bonus. So it was obviously an extremely emotional moment. Walk me through what was going on in your head. Was it just dollar signs? Like, were you like, oh my God?
Well, no, like, to be honest, like, we joked about it in the gym, like, when it came around and, you know, One Championships announced it and then a few people won it, like, it was just like a bit of a joke in the gym. And at one point, I truly believed it, like, I'm going to get it, like, wow. And then when I remember leaving, I put, like, a video on my Instagram saying, bye, guys, like, from the gym, and one guy shouts, bring that 50K home, and I just, like, laughed.
Oh, my gosh.
But literally, when it came to the fight and in the changing rooms, like, that did not go through my mind at all. The one thing I wanted was to showcase my skills, to show them what I am on a good day, you know, because I'm a good fighter, but sometimes you have good days and you have bad days. And then if you're winning on a bad day, it's still good. Do you know what I mean? But I just knew what I was capable of and just wanted to show it. That's all I wanted so desperately. But then I also wanted a stoppage. I wanted to make a statement to say, you know, you signed me a long, long time ago. I know the pandemic's happened, but I should have been on here before all of these other girls. And I know for many reasons I've not been able to get to Singapore, but I need to show you why. Do you know what I mean? And I did that. and I thought it was going to carry on, you know, when they called injury time. So I was like, didn't really know what was going on, and like kind of shaking off.
Right. Yeah, it was a little unclear at the
and
moment.
I thought in my head, right, I'm just going to do loads of body kicks, like showing my kicking. But then obviously it was waved off. I just kind of quickly went and seen if Daniela was okay, but she got escorted kind of out pretty quick. And then I remember thinking, oh, I always see them put headphones on because of COVID, and then they do the interview through the headphones. So the referee kind of pointed me to the spot. So I was like standing there, like I thought someone was going to put headphones on me. And then Mitch just came, and I was like, oh, and then started my interview. You know, I'm so buzzing. I'm trying to like breathe and just listen to what he's saying and kind of respond in a appropriate, normal manner. And then like he started saying that, and I was like I completely forgot all about it. I didn't even think, oh, I wonder if I've won it. Oh my God, I can't believe it, honestly.
Right. And then you give him this giant hug, and I'm like, yeah, I think I would have done that too.
Yeah, I didn't know what else to do. Like everyone was like just looking at me, and I couldn't see where my dad was either. And it was just so crazy. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was allowed to hug him because of COVID. And honestly,
listen, the guy just told you won 50K. Like, he's gonna get a hug.
Yeah,
you know? Like, he's got to get one.
Messenger as well, weren't he? Honestly, I can't even tell you. And then it was just like a burst of relief. I don't even know what for, just because it's all over. It's been this massive thing. Like, I've been training. I didn't just train 6 weeks for that fight. You know, I've been training for 2.5 years, or since I've signed my contract for it. You know, I've been training all over COVID because every week we thought something might open up, or so it was just a massive relief, really, and to know I've done what I said I'd do, and just so grateful, and it's crazy.
You put that stamp on your debut in a big way. Now, I'm sure you got to be thinking about what's next. For you, like, ideally, when are you getting back in there?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'd like to get back in as soon as possible. I'm hoping June. I'm hoping the beginning of June. But we'll see. I don't know. I suppose I've got to just wait. I've had this week off, and I'll be back Monday. Thought I had dentist on Monday, but I've not. So back Monday. And yeah, we'll just go from there. I'm always in the gym. I'm always ready. So I'm just excited. You know, all I want is fights. That's all I've wanted since I've signed. You know, I am known for being very regular. You know, I had my time off to do what I wanted to do, and I went a bit mad for a year back when I was 16. So this is years ago. And since then, when I came back, I just knew what I wanted to do, and that is to fight. So that is all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in, you know, taking time off for a holiday or do this, do that. I do need to book a holiday though, but
eventually
fighting comes first, and it just needs to be done.
Do you have any opponents in your mind that you would love to tackle next?
Well, I think the Supergirl and Barbie fight was very controversial. I remember watching that, and I was actually supposed to fight Barbie at one point on one, but for certain reasons that didn't happen. So I'd like to fight her. I'd love to fight Supergirl. I said that I'd like to also fight Wonder Girl. Let's work our way up, and
just one by one. One by one.
Yeah.
So I believe there's a card next weekend with a lot of big names on there. Headlines, let's see, by Lee and Stamp. I mean, do you have any predictions on that one for Stamp versus Lee?
No, I'm not sure. Obviously, Angela Lee has been out for a long time and had a baby. You know, from what my mum said, sometimes things like that make you stronger as a woman. So I don't know. It's a difficult one. I think standing up, Stamp's got the advantage, of course. So it's whether, you know, Angela Lee can get her on the ground and use her experience with that. But it's a very good card. Some massive, massive names on. is very impressive.
The fight that's tripping me out the most is Rodtang versus Johnson with this flyweight freestyle thing we got going on. 4 3-minute rounds, changing disciplines between each round.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of anything like this? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
No,
I mean, on both sides, from like referee to the fighter as well. Like, what are your thoughts?
It's crazy. It is crazy. But also, as much as you're like, well, that's one discipline and that's another, people can't help but talk about it, and people can't help but kind of predict. Oh, and a lot of people have said the same thing. Well, if Rodtang goes for him the first round, then he can go to knock him out in Thai boxing. But then people are like, well, if DJ can run for that round and defend and get to the MMA round, then he can tap him out. And it's just like, yeah, you're right. Like, what is going to happen? And that's what that fight is all about. People can't help but talk about it, and people can't help, and they're definitely going to be watching it because no one knows what's going to happen. Like, and it's quite like two good opponents for that to be happening with, you know, someone as big as Rodtang in the Muay Thai world with someone as big as DJ in the MMA world. Like, you couldn't really get it any better, to be fair. So it is a brilliant matchup. It's absolutely crazy, but people can't help but talk about it, and they will want to watch it so bad.
Yeah, I mean, personally, as a fan, I hope it goes to at least 2 rounds so we can see that change and
a bit of both.
Yeah, and just be like, oh my God, this is one fight. This is weird. So that's going to be awesome. But I just want to thank you for joining me today and giving some time to chat about your amazing weekend. And it's so exciting to see you officially like on the roster. It is official. You are one champion fighter, and I mean, I can't wait to see you next. Hopefully, we see you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope to be on there ASAP, literally.